What's going on, people? How do I hide the chat? Is that an option? What up, Snoopy Badass? How you living? I feel like there's got to be an option to hide the chat. What up, BMG, my boy? Still alive, thank God. All right. Somebody screen record this. I don't want to upload this onto my platform. I figure I'll let the streets rock with it, aka whoever screen records it. So you can hide the chat. How do I hide the chat though? What's up, Skinny from the 9? I do want to hide the chat just because I don't want any like weirdness on the screen. Click the 3 buttons on the side of the chat. 3 buttons? I don't see 3 buttons on the side of the chat. Am I tripping? Or is this? I don't see 3 buttons. Maybe I just won't even look at it. Maybe I'll just talk and not look at it so I don't have to think about it. 3 dots. Everybody keeps saying 3 dots. I don't have 3 dots. I wish I could show you guys this so you could understand. Oh, right there. Turn off commenting. Boom. Okay, there we go. Screen record this. Post it on Reddit. Post it wherever you want. Recently, somebody who used to be affiliated with No Jumper, OG Suicide, I'll just say his name. He did a little video where he spoke on me and No Jumper. I just want to do a quick reaction so that I don't have to talk about it on Tuesday. Here's the timeline. This is not even like a reaction or a thing where this isn't even like me giving my opinion. This is just me breaking down the situation as I see it. So maybe 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, OG Suicide, who is AD's homie, big homie, if you will, and that's how I know him, is because he used to come through the office a good amount, like just to kick it with AD or whatever. I do an interview with him. Very, very good interview. Insanely sad. You know, he's like the adoption stuff. He tried to, so crazy interview. Like one of the craziest ones I ever did. After we get done the interview, he says that he wants to get into doing YouTube. He wants to talk to people. He wants to do content. I told him that the spot that we were in at that time would not be a good fit for that because we didn't have enough room, but that we were trying to upgrade, and that once we got into a new spot, if we had additional studio time, that we would be happy to let him use the space. Once we get into a new space, we said, okay, you can use it. I did this for 2 reasons. 1, because I was moved by his interview. 2, because AD, someone that I cared about / still care about in some sort of hypothetical alternate reality. So we let him use the space, and that was fine. You know, he did a bunch of interviews for like the last 8 or 9 months, if I'm not mistaken. Mostly sitting down with different people from the No Jumper universe, brought in some other people from his own universe, that sort of thing. And it was fine. To be honest, the channel never got enough views for the channel to be monetized, you know? Because I think like that was part of what I told him is I was like, well, I'm not going to put your stuff on the main channel. Or actually I told him I would put like the first 5 episodes on the main channel to sort of get the ball rolling for you. And that then we'll start a channel and we'll help you run it and stuff. And if we can get it monetized, we'll split the revenue. That being said, it never got to the point where we could even monetize it. So no money was ever earned by this channel, right? So fast forward to, and just for the record, I consider this to be probably one of the most selfless things that I've ever done as a content creator. I've never just like, you know, I've given people shows on my channel that earn money for the channel, right? But I've never just like given somebody, you know, free studio time, my employees' time, my editor's time, all this thing, like all these different things that realistically, if I had to guess, including like the employee time, the studio time, I mean, this is like, we're talking 10, $15,000 worth of like time and employee time and studio time, like just renting a studio space. $100 an hour, $150 an hour, I think is pretty standard to rent a studio space. Probably not 100, probably more than 100. Anyway, we let him do that for like 8-9 months. As I said, it wasn't getting monetized. Episodes are averaging about 500 views. So my suspicions were kind of confirmed that the content would not have done well on the No Jumper channel. But again, he was always a cool guy to us and stuff. So we just kind of, we're letting him rock, letting him use the studio on our downtime. And then there was like 2 little awkward things over the course of the past couple months. There was one day where I was doing interviews. I had like 2 interviews lined up. And they ended up both going a little late. So I was like 2 hours behind, So like if the interviews were supposed to be done at 4, they didn't get done till 6. OG Suicide was there. He was waiting. He was supposed to interview somebody. And he didn't say anything to me, but I could kind of like feel the vibe. And then I guess he said some stuff to some of the other employees that was a little weird. But I mean, let's be real. If you're getting free studio time just out of the goodness of our heart, and I'm in here doing interviews that are going to get, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of views, these are the things that literally pay the employees, keep the lights on, that's a different thing. That's, you got to respect that. You can't think that your interview is just going to start on time when I'm doing interviews that realistically are paying the bills and they're going late. Okay, that's obvious. So I wasn't really feeling that. Felt like that was a little awkward. And then the other thing was that he asked me to borrow money. And that was awkward to me, to be honest. I left him on red, which I'm not totally proud of because, it would have been a little bit more mannish to respond and just be like, nah, I don't do that. Because, of all the homies I've had over the years, especially people who work with me, especially if you work with me, when it comes to letting people borrow money, I really don't like it because if you work for me and I'm letting you borrow money, I just feel like it puts us in kind of a weird spot where I don't want to be bugging you and I don't want... And to be honest, like a lot of times with talent and stuff, it's kind of like, listen, if they need to borrow money here and there, you let them borrow money once and then you just... That's good because then you don't really have to do it again. Or if they ask you again, it's like, well, bro, I already let you borrow money. So it's kind of whatever. But either way, when he asked me that, I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, well, I'm already letting you use the fucking studio space and all this shit. I feel like that would be weird. Anyway, so that was already stewing around in my head. And then I hear from some other people that he was also asking them in the office. And that to me is even worse because it's like, asking to borrow money in the workplace is just, to me, it's not good. You're putting the people who work for me in an awkward situation where maybe they're going to feel like pressured or like they have to do it or whatever. So a couple of weeks ago, I told Josh, I said, hey, Josh, I think it's time. You should probably tell OG Suicide that we got to wrap it up. Can't record here anymore. We just have way more stuff being recorded. It was becoming more and more difficult to find slots in which he could do his thing. And we've also just kind of accepted after letting him use the studio for 9 months that this was not going to turn a profit. Because, hypothetically, let's say it even made $2,000 a month and we were splitting that. Well, the $1,000 a month, which is nothing to a business the size of No Jumper, it at least would like cover the studio time, or it would begin to cover the cost of the employees that we've had cutting stuff up for you and everything. Because, keep in mind, like we were having our employees create TikToks for them, edit the photos, edit the podcast, upload it, create thumbnails, all this stuff that, like, realistically, as I say it now, I'm like, holy shit, that is a lot of fucking work and a lot of goodwill. Just like probably one of the nicest things I've ever done for somebody who was trying to get a YouTube channel off the ground. So a couple weeks ago, Josh tells Suicide that it's not happening anymore and he's going to have to find somewhere else to record. Realistically, probably shouldn't be that big a deal, right? Because, how many people do we know with podcasts? I mean, it seems like almost anyone can figure this out, either rent a space or buy some mics and set up a space. Josh told me that he was not thrilled, that he kind of didn't seem stoked. Okay. And then I see, but he had a couple more episodes he wanted to release and everything, so he released those. And then the other day I see it in the calendar that there's a OG Suicide live stream. And I actually said to Josh, I'm like, you think that's a safe move? You know, he's on the way out the door. We're going to put him on live stream. He can say whatever he wants. Not that there's anything like, you know, in particular that he would be able to say or that, you know, we were worried about him saying, but I was just like, you sure that's a good idea? Josh told me, he gave me his word that he wasn't going to talk any shit or anything. Okay. So then this is the funny thing is you guys have probably all seen the video that he put out. I have not seen it. It was like 25 minutes. I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. But he put out a video where I guess he threatened to beat me with a chair or something. I don't know. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm not watching this shit. But I guess it just, in general, just didn't really seem like he was thankful or appreciative of the fact that we allowed him to use this spot for a ton of time and, you know, let him hang out with everybody, helped him get connections with different people. You know, I know some of the interviews, the bigger name interviews they had on his channel were because Laura helped connect him to certain people or reached out to people on his behalf, everything like that. So yeah, that's why like earlier today I was thinking about it and I put the quote, what is it? No good deed shall go unpunished. Because I was thinking about it and I was thinking about how so many times as a content creator, I've basically just like given people opportunities, people who are not really in a position where they had a lot of opportunities coming in. And somehow whenever I do that, bad things always come from it. I mean, and this goes back to like the very, very beginning of my business career or whatever. Like I remember there was a shoe company that this guy I know owned. And he told me, he goes like, you got to be really careful who you do something nice for. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he pointed out that